Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and connecting. Oh, she always makes me sound so good. Does this wonderful introduction every single time. I really am excited, just kidding, but very excited that you're here. We're going to be activating the energetic of unstoppable prosperity and unstoppable you. And this subject, this topic is probably the most requested topic that we get at UWealth Revolution every single season. And there's no doubt that the area of money and abundance comes up over and over again, partly because we've been educated or indoctrinated into a system that doesn't actually show us the source, right, of true prosperity. A lot of people say, well, it's a job, or it's an education, or it's, clipping coupons, or it's doing this, or it's following the rules. And ultimately, those things may have a part in it, but there's an energetic frequency behind unlimited prosperity. There's an energetic frequency behind your own money code and what locks your code can open up in your life, but also what locks your code cannot open up. And these can be the subject of our blockages or our resistance to a certain level. Now, to do that, you might think it's a very complicated process, but our guest today, Maria Martinez, has worked with literally thousands and thousands of people all over the world. She's created huge shifts, not only in others, but also she's created some big shifts in me as well. And I want to share one of the results that I had. I underwent something she's done called the quantum upgrade, and I wrote in a few years ago when I did this, I said I went into, during this process with Maria, some of the deepest clearing and revelations about my truth that I'd ever experienced. She moved numerous past life blocks, cords, and throat chakra issues that were blocking my path. She put me into a 360 degree of peace. She is amazing. Well, we're going to be moving people into that space as it relates to money. And as many of you may know about Maria, she's a natural born healer. And from the time of even being a small child, she worked with her angels, guides, and spiritual mentors in communication. And one of the things that she has focused a lot on in her world is helping people to release the lack and scarcity constructs that we pick up somewhere along this earthly journey. As I said it before, when you were a baby, you knew how to ask for what you wanted. You let out a yelp and the milk came right to you. And we all still have that ability. We have this ability to reconnect to our gifts, to our talents, to transform our relationship with money, wealth, and prosperity, and manifest more into our lives. She also helps you in supporting the journey of finding your gifts, your talents, discovering your life purpose, and accessing your full potential for happiness, joy, fulfillment, and prosperity. And she has a unique ability to see, feel, know, and hear your deepest desires and clear anything blocking you from stepping into your greatness. She's a catalyst for change, healing, and transformation. She's a channel for source and a higher dimensional conduit for light beings that will help you remove the blocks you may have to receiving it all, living abundantly, and manifesting your unique, extraordinary life. Now, one of the things about her that's very unique is she's actually part of a galactic council, and her purpose is to weave the galaxies together to balance, protect humanity, and empower them to evolve, ascend into the upper dimensions. Know thyself is the motto that she adopts, and in this life, she is here to welcome people like you and me, travelers, starseeds, healers, indigos, crystals, rainbows, and much more to awaken their gifts. She also works as a human potential activator, a wealth consciousness activator, and an energy alchemist. She's board certified and specializing in clinical support, medical hypnotherapy, and natal, interlife, past life regression clinical hypnotherapy, and she loves to bridge the gap between 3 and 5D. She also runs several successful enterprises under the 360 Prosperity brand and has a tremendous amount of success with people all over the world, which I want to share. One person wrote in, she tripled my income, changed my relationship with money. Another person wrote in, every time I listen to one of your MP3s, I make $1,000, says Elizabeth. Another person, the fear of failure, says Jonah, was completely removed from my field. After just one 25-minute call, the fear of failure was completely removed from my field. What's amazing is that I didn't even bring up the topic to Maria, and I noticed it afterwards. The energy is not in my field. Another person, Kim, money started coming in from different sources, 24,000 in 3 weeks. They're on and on and on everywhere. Let's welcome Maria and get started, because I think it's the time that you create your own story today, your new history at You Wealth Revolution. And Maria, welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How exciting to be here with all of you, and how exciting in this change, in this environment of change. We're all ready and primed to move forward and embrace the change that is coming. So I'm so happy to be here in this perfect timing. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
I love it. I'm glad to have you back, because, again, this is one of the number one questions people have. And, you know, change for a lot of people can be great, like new opportunities, new abundance, new awarenesses, new ways to share your gifts. But then for other people, it can mean bankruptcy, failure, illness, sickness. Change can be a double-edged sword. How do we stay in the realm of maybe the change that is expanding our abundance and opportunities? How do we do that, Maria?
That is a really good question, and it's a very powerful question, because it's about relating, right? It's how we relate to what's happening in our environment. Okay. Especially when we're facing something like that is not in alignment with what we really want or desire, but there's a purpose to that. And that's the key. Instead of feeling upset, frustrated, saddened, we get to go through all of those emotions, but we don't get stuck in those emotions. You know, when we experience a bankruptcy or when we experience loss, we go into the shame, into the disappointment. And that's where we get stuck, and that's where we create resistance to moving forward. And that's when we create the block to what the newness that is coming. So if we can step back and look at it from a higher perspective, even if we don't know what the reason is, the purpose is, if we can see it with gratitude, or we can find the neutrality, if we can relate from a place of one door closes and another door opens. If we can start adopting that mindset, or that ability to let go and not attach to the wrongness of what's happening, or not label it with wrong or bad, and we start looking forward, and we focus on the things that we do want, and focus on the things that are working, or we focus on the solution, then we can move with greater ease and with grace through those periods. Yeah, but when we look at our journey, and this is really important, because a lot of times we get stuck in the victim of, why is this happening to me? And then what did I do wrong? And I must have deserved this. And then we go into a spiral where we keep digging a bigger hole for us. However, if we step back and see ourselves as a divine being having a human experience, then we know that these are just a series of events that are meant to help us grow spiritually, that are meant to help us grow and activate the reasons why we're here, activate more of our gifts and more of our talents, move us in a different direction that is more alignment with our path. A lot of times this happens because we're not in alignment. And it's our divine partnership saying, okay, we're going to complete this, we're going to help you move from here to where you're truly meant to be. But again, when we attach, we see it as wrong, bad, and we stay there. So it's really important to expand our awareness, to move up to our higher self and see our path from that place, and work through whatever is happening, whether it's shame or blame or guilt or fault, and allow all of those emotions to move through our body and then out of our body, and then allow more space for our truth, for happiness, for joy, for true abundance to come in. Hopefully that helps everybody.
It totally does. And I love the answer, because one of the things that you are actually part of, we mentioned in the introduction, is this Galactic Council. And the Galactic Council is here through you to weave these galaxies together to protect, balance, and empower humanity. So these are truths that really cut across time, across galaxies and dimensions. How did all of this open up for you? How did you start to really access some of these higher truths and realms that we're going to be talking about and connecting to today?
Thank you. Well, like many of you, when we come into this world, we remember who we are, and as if if we stay in that space of remembering, we keep activating, we keep expanding, we keep allowing, and throughout that time of my remembering, and of course there were times where I was separated from that. We all go through that, right? We all go through our lessons and learnings. But as a result of those lessons, those learnings, more information came through, more guides showed up in my experience. And what I just shared with you about seeing the events in your life as an opportunity to align further or more with your divine mission, that was a big lesson for me, as different situations in my life, with illnesses, with loss, with financial loss, with divorce, as all of those, or as I navigated through all of that, more of my awareness and wisdom came through because I spent more time with myself. I spent more time in stillness, more time in connection with my higher self, with source, with my guides, with my angels. And in those times of stillness and those times of meditation and those times of prayer, a lot of this information of the reason why I was here, the reason why I was created, started to come together almost like a puzzle. Okay. And even more of my gifts, amplified. My clarity, especially the knowing. The knowing has been really something that evolved, and that's something that we'll be talking about today. That knowing, that radical trust, the radical surrender, that place of certainty, that really expanded as more of my guides, as more of as they show me more of my past lives and more of my mission, and as a lot of them more visited me to share some of the knowledge and some of the roles I had in other lifetimes. And they show me more about what creation was about, and our divine will and our free will and our goodwill and the purpose of that as well. So all of this, it began to unfold, and I began to step more into my mission, into my purpose, and really allowing the universe, allowing my divine partnership to flow more, to be in that place of more flow and surrender with my guidance. Oftentimes, especially if we spend a lot of time in the 3D and then we spend a lot of time in the doingness, we either overlook or not listen to what we're hearing, or we question what we're hearing, and we often don't follow the guidance. So as I was doing that, I was facing more challenges. So as I started slowing down and started coming back into that place of oneness, into the place of wholeness, and then started really embracing everything that I was, including what we call our darkness, what we called all the events in our life that didn't go so well. When I began to see them as just events and started embracing, and not necessarily the events, but more myself and how I related to those events. And as I started to see myself with more compassion, more of that wisdom, like more of my ring started to open up and bring in more wisdom about about humanity and about yes. The opportunity for humanity to grow and to expand and to access what was and always has been available to us. But we've been in the space of forgetting, or in the space of the sleep state, or we've been blocked by the illusion. And as I started to see all of that, I just started to feel this sense of joy, the sense of wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And what if everybody could have this? That would be so wonderful.
Yes. Yes. And, as you talk about that, I think for a lot of us listening in, it's like we can feel like we're right there, right on the edge of having that type of awakening, or we can start to taste what it would be like. And you actually have put this together in a way that it's scientific, it's spiritual, it's step by step. You've identified pillars and ways that we actually can move through this process of having that unlimited abundance, being unstoppable, being truly who we always were meant to be. What is the role of pillars or practices and pillars of consciousness, how does that help us understand maybe where we can go to shift this whole money reality?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And all of you actually already know what they are. So the 5 pillars are self-love, self-forgiveness, self-trust, self-acceptance, self-belief. And when we talk about forgiveness, a lot of times we do our forgiveness, but if we're not in the state of stillness, in the state of unconditional love, in the state of compassion, we often don't go deep enough. We say it, and it feels good to say it, and then we kind of cross it up for daily routine or daily practice. But when we can go deeper, and connect to that little part of us that is still wounded, or the part of us that wants to come up to the surface and heal, that is true forgiveness. And that's the practice. One of the big practices, because all of these are really connected. Forgiveness and self-love. If you stand in front of the mirror and say, I love myself. If you haven't forgiven yourself, you're just saying the words, I love myself. You're not really loving yourself unless you're embracing every part of you, unless you're truly bringing love and compassion to every part of you. And the same thing with self-belief and self-trust. If you're still blaming yourself or you're still judging yourself for something in the past, it's very difficult for you to be in the state of, I truly believe in myself, I truly trust myself. Yes. And if you can't do any of those, or if you're unable to do those, then it's really hard for you to totally accept yourself as you are. So those are really important, and those lead up to the higher ones: self-worth or worthiness, deservingness or deservability, being enough or being more than enough, and receiving. If you don't love yourself, or if you're unable to practice true self-love, then you feel unworthy. You're still feeling unworthy, and vice versa. If you're feeling unworthy, then it's very difficult to embody self-love. So these are very intertwined and interconnected. So we go through the practice of just allowing these to be free, allowing the practices to be really free, really open, really connected, and very deep. And you'll experience that through our process later today.
Yeah, I want to let I was going to remind everybody we're going to be doing a repair of the money code and also a multiply your wealth activation. So of the 5, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have that these pillars: self-love, self-worth, deserving, being enough, and receiving. So everyone, let's feel into those: self-love, self-worth, deserving, being enough, and receiving. And I find it interesting, Maria, really quick, that receiving is like the 5th pillar, because some people say, okay, I've worked on self-love, or I've worked on self-worth, or I feel deserving, but they still don't have the receiving. They feel someone compliments them and they're like, oh no, I look terrible. Oh, you look great today. Oh no, I look like a wreck. And it's so, you activate all 5. And I want to get to some stories of what happens when people activate all 5. But tell me a little more about these pillars, because it sounds like this is very different than what I've heard in the past. Yeah.
So these pillars are really the foundation of creating, of manifesting, and attracting, and embodiment. So when you really feel into each of these pillars, you can't have one without the other because they're so intertwined. However, if you're avoiding one, then the other ones are suffering, and you can measure them. You can ask yourself, how much do I love myself, 0 to 100? Or you can ask yourself, how worthy do I feel, 0 to 100? And you'll find that if one or more or lower, then the other ones, that are going to be about 50 to 60. And if you find that one is high, then, and there could be any of them, then that is more of like the desire for you. For instance, a lot of times when we say self-love, and somebody say, yeah, of course I love myself, I'm 100% there.
Right.
But then you look at, what about forgiveness? How easy do you forgive yourself? Worthiness, deserving, receiving. And then you can tell that the entanglement, and you can tell that the ego is operating from of course I am. Of course I have this. But the truth, like there's a gap between the truth that it hasn't been closed. And it's really important to spend the time here and as a daily practice, or, you know, when events come up, especially when you're triggered. So if you go throughout your day and something triggers you, like, you know, somebody said something or something didn't work out, and you start to feel frustrated, or you start to feel unworthy, you start to feel like overwhelmed, then you can look at what is this one about? And usually is forgiveness, self-love, and acceptance. And the reason is usually forgiveness, self, and acceptance, because when it comes to forgiveness, we tend to hold on to things, whether it's related to somebody else or related to ourselves. We tend, it's just our nature. We tend to hold on to the pain. We tend to hold on to what they did or what happened. Even if we want something greater, we tend to go back and we feel the pain of that because it's human nature. But when we realize that we're doing it, then we can break away from that and we can start looking forward instead of living in that pain. And we have, you know, some of us have that mechanism of, well, if I can remember the pain, then I can avoid the pain, you know, in the future.
Yes.
So it's subtle for some of us. It's just below the surface. So we have that mechanism that often, it's a way that we protect ourselves. It often kicks in and we hold on to it even if we say, I forgive you, or I forgive myself, it's still there because we still want to protect ourselves. And that's where radical trust comes in. That's where deservingness and worthiness come in. And that's where we go into the higher states of consciousness. The higher states of consciousness is letting go. So everything that we talked about is more the 3D. It's more the 3D, operating in the 3D, believing in yourself, trusting yourself. So believing and trusting usually is connected to things in the past, events in the past. So it's more of the 3D. But when we start moving into the states of consciousness, it's more within and above. For instance, you know, when we work on like self-forgiveness and self-love and self-acceptance, and we feel we're doing our work, and then we move into the state of trust or surrender, then what you're doing is no longer attaching to the 3D and allowing yourself, especially your heart space, to expand, to receive, to be in the space of flow, to be in the space of knowing, and really receive source within you. And when you allow yourself to do that, it's an expansion that happens within your heart, and an expansion that happens in the back of your heart, and then that moves through your body. And if you're very sensitive, you feel the vibration of the energy moving through. And it's you allowing yourself to receive source, receive guidance, receive healing, receive your wisdom, receive love, receive whatever source it is ready to give you in that moment. So the five pillars, and really it's the 8 pillars and 9 pillars, because we include self-worth, deserving, being enough, and receiving. So those are the foundation, and those are more the 3D. But if we don't have those sort of complete, if we don't have a good relationship with them, then we're unable to move into the higher states of consciousness, which is unconditional love, loving kindness, compassion, complete surrender, radical trust.
Yeah. I want to get into how you see energy, because we are going to be taking some callers today, and you're going to be able to look in and help folks today to understand where they may be at these levels and also move some of the levels. What have you seen with clients? We've had so many stories of people, not just from UWealth, but everywhere around the world who worked with you. What are some of your favorite transformations that have happened when you really help people activate these pillars in their life at a real level?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you for asking. So actually a couple of people come to mind, but one person comes to mind, and she was really struggling with getting a job. She had been out of a job for like 7 years, and, just struggling. Her husband was struggling. He was getting injured at work, so he was out of work quite a bit. And we worked through the pillars, And then we work through the multidimensional bodies, clearing a lot of the past life stuff there, clearing entities that were anchoring some of these lower vibrations. And then we really focus on embodying radical trust. Because of the history, sometimes when something happens and it keeps repeating itself, it creates a pattern. And now you expect a pattern. And in order to break the pattern, one, you get to believe for something different, then you get to do something different, and then you get to be something different, right? So that's how we break the pattern. So we started really breaking the patterns for her. So every time something came up and she started expecting the same results of, okay, no job opportunity, or it's temporary and now they're going to fire me, or now they're going to let me go. So we started breaking that expectation up into a new possibility. So the believing. And then we started having her take actions, meaning like the way she was showing up at work, the way she was being about herself, more confident, more self-assured, believing in herself more, trusting herself more, and then really embodying that radical trust, like I'm choosing this, this is what it is. So now she's creating her outcome. This is what I desire, and this is the energy, this is the morphic field, this is the vibration I'm flowing in, this is mine. So she went from 7 years of not having a job to getting a really good job that came with a lot of perks and bonuses, and then subsequently getting promoted, and now doing really, really well, bought a house in a really nice neighborhood. Her salary is significantly, obviously, more than she's ever had in her years, prior to doing this work. So she's really happy with her new home and her promotion, money in her bank account, and just feeling. And this is where I feel like it's the most important part. It's feeling or being in the space of being able to hold. Source within her, embodied source within her, that created that trust, that created that knowing, that she was able to tap into that trust, that confidence, that knowing, that divine partnership. And, her life is amazing now. Her kids are doing well. She's able to provide more. So, that's powerful.
A question on this, because it's an amazing story. I know you have many others. You mentioned things like, I don't know if you said entities or some sort of like extraneous influence, I got the sense was not part of her truth, was influencing her field. Tell me more about that, because how much of this can come in from sources that are not really us. It's like we're picking up these things and holding on to them like a hot potato in our field that does not serve us, in fact can burn us.
Right. It's really different for everyone, but we tend to have these entities. And often it doesn't matter how much work you've done. So this is how I've seen them, and this is how I've experienced them. Okay. So when you have a traumatic experience, or when you adopt a belief system that is not in alignment with your truth, it becomes like a reality. And sometimes we actually manifest those entities. We manifest a darkness. We manifest just a low vibration. And a lot of times our entities like demons that come in and anchor themselves into whatever that energy, especially if it's something like guilt and shame and blame and fault or anger or rage. They'll anchor themselves into those emotions. So even if you tried really hard just to let go, you'd still have to work through all of that for you to break free. Whether you do it on your own or whether you do it through meditation or the help of someone else. But they're not as easily to budge. They're not as easily to clear. So they come in either attached to your emotion, attached to a feeling or a state of beingness, or they may come into your body and hold a space in your body and cause pain and cause illness or disorders, pain or dysfunction, or even autoimmune disease. They'll come in and take up space and lower the vibration. So it's like killing the cells in your body, creating an abnormal function in your body that creates a dysfunction. So oftentimes they'll show up as an image of what they are. Oftentimes they'll look like a virus. or they look like bacteria or a parasite. Sometimes they look like technology, like nanotechnology, like microbots. They'll look like implants, either metallic or other forms of material that could be very dense. Sometimes they look like weapons, or if you have psychic attacks, that often looks like weapons. A lot of times they look like a weapon, but it may be the projection of somebody else. So these are the things that we look at. You know, we look at the whole self. And this is why I talk about the multidimensional bodies, because we are, you know, we're complex, but we're beautiful and we're powerful. But we are spirit, we're a soul, we're a mind, we're a body, we're emotion. Yes. And they're layered on each other, and they work with each other, but they also can be separate from each other, especially if you have interferences that are blocking you, that either came in from other lifetimes, or they came in at birth, or that you later were in that space, or they attached themselves to you through your experiences. That and so this is what happens, and this is why I say sometimes even if we've done some work, they're still there because we get used to them. We get comfortable with the way life is. So it's almost like we learn to not see them, and we are in that space of survival or just enough. But when we decide we want more, when we decide we want to break free, when we decide we're ready for that upgrade, they show up. They show up because, you know, they're in that space and that gap, and I love that. And I celebrate that, because what does that mean? That means that you're expanding to the new you. That means that you're accessing more of your potential. That means that you are creating more possibility for yourself. You know, when we talk about fear, and I love, you know, the image of fear, because fear can be your superpower. So this another way of looking at fear is the same way as looking at what's there that's and I'm putting my hands up in quotations, and the darkness that, you know, holds you back, because we can bring light to the darkness. If we believe in ourselves, if we love ourselves enough, we can do this. We can bring light to every area of our life and embrace that darkness. And that's where we come into our wholeness. That's when we embrace our totality. That's when we move into that place of complete and total acceptance, when we're not judging anything. We're not judging that we had a bad experience in the past, or there was an event that created a bad experience. We're not judging that there was an entity there or interference. We're not judging that we found, you know, an implant. We're not judging any of that. We're just celebrating that we found it. Because what that means expansion. That means an upgrade. That means more. You're reclaiming more of yourself. If you were operating at 10% and you move several layers of it, now you're at 30, 40%. Your life starts to look very different. And then if you keep working through those layers, now you're at 50%. Your life starts looking even better. So you're moving more into your authority, into your ability to be the mighty creator, master your destiny. So I celebrate that. I celebrate, you know, whatever is there. Let's find it. Let's move it out. Let's embrace our, you know, that darkness that is there, and bring light to expand into our full potential and access our divine power.
I love it. I want to break down some of the details of what you're doing. It is beautiful, and you are amazing, Maria. It's at uwealthrevolution.com/Maria24. I think everybody can feel, you know, we all have gifts, but Maria, you have this vibrational essence even in your voice that just transmits this power sort of beyond where we are. It's this very smooth flowing energy that to me, really the embodiment of unstoppable abundance. It just is. And there's a way to move into this. This is what your life's work is about, one of your many talents, and it's called the Unstoppable Abundance, Unstoppable You program. And Maria, you're doing this for us. I want to jump real quick to something that's a little bit of a limitation in time, because I know people are going to be grabbing these. You've made very famous the beautiful gift of working with people one-on-one, but then also adding in 15-minute follow-up. So saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to work with you, but you're going to get a chance to reconnect with me at some point thereafter to get a bonus follow-up to make sure you are okay, to make sure that everything is integrating, or maybe to level up or tune up what we did. Tell me about this, and I'll just make note. If you want this, it's package C. You're going to get 25 minutes private with Maria, one-on-one, no one else, this beautiful being on the phone call here. but also you're going to get everything on the page. And if you're one of the first 50, you're going to get this follow-up. So tell me about the follow-up and the one-on-one.
Yeah, so this is, the one-on-one, again, is your time. It's a very powerful time for you to create. It's the time when we go deep, very wide. And when I say wide, is other lifetimes, other places, other dimensions, other times, and we bring back what is needed. And these are very powerful because the intention is always to take you to the next level. The intention is to unravel as much, heal as much, bring forth as much for you to step into the next and be able to manifest very quickly. And also to embody the next level of consciousness. And that's really important. And that's why the one-on-one is important, because we have the mind that is very powerful, that sometimes is set in its ways. So we may do the energetic, we may do the spiritual, we may do the emotional. But if the mind doesn't want to cooperate, or the mind is behind in cooperating, then it just delays you manifesting your ideal life a little bit longer. So the 15 minutes is really meant to help you, like give you a little bit of a boost and break through any other layer that is there that is holding back the mind, or that the mind just needs to embrace to get to the next level of your quantum integration. And the 15 minutes is usually an upgrade for most people, and it's usually around money or something else that is connected to money. And a lot of times that could be anything like from how you're showing up at work, how you're showing up in your relationship, to something that is happening in your body, like in illness, disorder, symptoms, because money may also manifest in your physical body. So we look at whatever that is stopping you from integrating the next level of flow, the next level of abundance. And my goal for all of you is for you to have the confidence to feel the limitless potential to access infinite abundance and absolutely know with complete certainty that is yours and that you have the power to create. That is my goal for all of you, to know that I am divine creation, therefore I can create. I was given the power to create, because we are creating every single day. But
that's right.
Because of where we're at, we're creating things that may not always work for us. But what if you intentionally always created things that work for you? And that's where we want to move you to the place of you creating more and more and more and more. Like, you're very aware, you're very clear, you're very intentional. You can see yourself, you can observe yourself, you're in self-mastery, and you're creating wealth, you're creating abundance, you're creating beautiful, powerful relationships. You're in that space of owning your authority and flowing in source, embodying source. That's my intention for all of you.
I love it. Absolutely. Well, the one-on-ones are there. This is where Maria looks into your energy field. She can see things in the area of health, love, money, career, purpose, relationships. And I want to mention very quick, there's 16 dimensional light beings that you work with. We talked about this a little bit early on when we talked about these different levels of connection that you have. The 16 dimensional light beings, tell me a little bit about how this may come in with the 25-minute session and looking into people's energy field.
Yes, thank you. So oftentimes, and this may be based on what we're working on, or based on your own connection with them, or based on whatever it is that they want to bless you with. So oftentimes we'll have a Council of Light coming in, we'll have the Pleiadians coming in, sometimes we'll have Mother Mary coming in, Jesus coming in, sometimes we'll have other Ascended Masters, Archangel, usually Michael comes in when we're doing entity clearings. Mary Magdalene will often come in. So at any time you are in the presence of any of these beautiful, powerful light beings, and I said 16, but there's really a multitude of them that come in. Oftentimes, especially during the group calls, they'll come in at the same time. And, they'll be working on your Merkaba, they'll be working on the spirit, the emotional body, they'll be working on your next level, your ascension. But the goal and the reason they come in is because you're ready. You're ready, and they want to facilitate for you coming into that awareness of having, coming into the awareness of your divine power. So it's very beautiful and it's very powerful, and you'll feel the difference in their energy as they come in, the difference in their vibration. Like, Isis also comes in, Hathor also, Lakshmi comes in. So you feel the difference in their vibrations as they come in, from very beautiful, like soft energy to very powerful, unconditional love energy to very, very powerful creative energy. So you feel the difference, and that's their intention when they come in, for you to feel the difference and for you to feel and move you forward in that direction.
I love it. Well, that is a huge gift, and you get to connect in with Maria to do this. And there's a lot more, because you're not just going to get one-on-one support at this page, uwealthrevolution.com/Maria24. We are talking about actually having an energetic abundance breakthrough. Sometimes this can happen in a very short period of time, in a matter of days. I mean, the energy shifts immediately. What kind of stories have you had where things happened very quick for people? I know you've got tons of different stories. Does it ever happen within a few days?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had people from one call to the next where they're manifesting new clients, they're manifesting opportunity. Just recently, one of the ladies in our group, she went from 6 months not having any income to now with 2 new clients, she had more income than she had in the last 6 months. So those are significant. And why? Because we're choosing it. We move into the place of choosing it. And why not, right? Why not?
Right.
$1 million, $100,000, they're the same vibration. So it can happen very quickly.
Amazing. Yeah. Like you said, you just moved the needle for us energetically, and there was really no distinction. It was just integrating the parts, and then like that feeling of balance people started having that was an alignment to, there wasn't the resistance. That all happened in the ether, in the in the space, right? So that space doesn't care what the number is. It doesn't know the difference. Like you said, there is no ceiling there once we do the work. All right, I want to get to a few other pieces here. There's a lot to cover, but some of you may want to go with package A or package B, but many are going to go with C. Package A is something you're going to get with B and C, but it is the 13-week unstoppable set of energy transmission and upgrades. You actually go through different areas of the body, from the physical to the emotional to the mental to spirit and energetic sovereignty. Tell me about these different areas, because here you get into things like hormones, digestion, musculoskeletal strengthening, past life regression, neonatal, womb birth consciousness healing. Tell me more about this.
Yes. So this is important. Earlier I mentioned that sometimes we hold the energy of money in our physical body. So we hold the energy of money as well as trauma in our physical body. So if those parts are not aligned, then the body, the physical body, holds us back. Like, you'll hear people say, oh, I want to do this, but I'm in so much pain, or I have so much this, I have so much that, I can't even get out. So that's why we wanted to address all the parts. And I talk about a lot, the multidimensional bodies, that they're essential to each other, and they're intertwined, and they work together. So to give you the most powerful breakthrough, we get to work with all the parts, all the multidimensional bodies, and we start with the physical body because it's what most people are currently feeling. They're feeling imbalances. So the hormones, the digestive system, the muscular system, the immune system, those are about your stability, right? They're about your stability and well-being. If any of these are off, then you don't feel well. I mean, there's obviously other conditions, but in general, when we talk about like the things that can get triggered out of alignment very easily, connected to stress, connected to money, connected to financial stability, it's the hormones, because stress is a hormone. It's cortisol. So we work through balancing that out, and then that causes your digestive system to go out of balance. So we want to work through that as well. Then your muscular system, especially money, you'll find that it lodges in the lower back or in the spine. So the trauma of money, so if you have lower back pain, oftentimes it's connected to money. The immune system, stress, If you're stressed out, if you're worried about what's happening in your environment, if you're worried about your money, then that's also going to suffer.
Yes.
So we want to clear all of that and strengthen all of that. And then we move into the emotional body. So we're strengthening each of your bodies so that you can be in the vibration to be able to hold it, or to be able to hold the vibration of infinite possibility and infinite abundance.
Yes.
For you to hold the vibration of more and having it all. So we go through each of these bodies to release the layers that work alone or work intertwined. For instance, in the emotional body, we look at freedom. So freedom from your darkness. If you're holding shame, blame, guilt, again, that can manifest in the physical body. So we've taken care of the physical body. Now we want to take care of the emotional body. We'll look into your past lives, so we past life regression, to see if you have any embedded fears, because sometimes we make decisions in our past life, especially if we had money, especially if we worked hard for money and it was taken, or we suffered, or we had a lot of pain from it. Then, when we have our life review, often we'll say, I'll never do this again, or I won't choose this again. And then we come in and now we're in lack and scarcity. So we want to clear that up from other lifetimes and any victimization that you're still holding on to or carrying on to from other lifetimes. And neonatal regression, that has to do with you being in the womb. In the womb, when you experience your parents and what's going on with them, you take on everything that you're feeling from the mom and from the dad. You experience the stress, you experience the nervous tension, you experience the anxiety, you experience the lack and the scarcity. So now you come into this world, now you're shocked. You come in and you're shocked because everything that you experienced in the womb was worry, was anxiety, was all of that. And then that is the first core wound that begins to manifest. You begin to replicate it. You begin to find the proof. And now you're into your later years and you have all these other events in which you're still living in that cycle of fear and anxiety and worry and lack of having or abundance. So we want to go back to the womb, and we may even go back beyond the womb. Sometimes it's in the interlife, so between the previous lifetime and this lifetime, and we'll look at what other trauma is there to heal to move into this lifetime. And move into this lifetime with feeling, knowing everything that's happening. So this is where strengthening your resiliency. So you can be in the world, but not affected by the world.
Yes.
And that's very powerful, especially for the empath.
I love it. Well, it's all here, and you go through these 4 different areas, even past life karma, healing that karma, and we are going to get to more questions. So Package A is available today for 92% off of a $1,261 value for just $97. And for some, you may want to upgrade because there's some live components here that are actually going to be available and starting very soon into the month here coming up. They're going to be like in about a month from now, roughly. And here you are going to be, Maria, going into 4 live group sessions. And these are about the divine goddess, the divine essence, this real truth about what we are, these frequencies. Tell me about this and how it's different than things you've done in the past.
Yes. So the state of consciousness is really important. And we can do a lot of work, but if we're not able to tap and be long enough in the new states of consciousness, then we regress. We go back to what feels comfortable. We go back to what we know. And in these 4 sessions, or 4 actually live calls, we're going to practice that embodiment of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And we're going to also, and this is where we'll experience a lot of the ascended masters coming in and some of our guides coming in and working with us. But these calls are very important to the practice and to the moving forward and to the embodiment of what is next and what is new for you. Because a lot of times, like if something feels new, again, new, the unknown, fear starts coming in, and then we go back. Or if we go into the new space of the new, then sometimes we feel lonely there. And then it feels too lonely, so we go back to where everybody else is at. So these practices of moving into the divine and really playing in the energy of the divine is for you to find your connection so that you never feel lonely again, so that you never feel alone in the world, so that you, wherever you are, you find that connection with Source, with the divine masculine, divine feminine, cosmic mother, with your guides, your angels, and you feel the communion of being and unity, and you feel that love and the wholeness within you. And, these are also specific. We have specific topics, like for the first one is embodying, embracing, flowing, allowing, and surrendering trust. So again, those are the states of consciousness that we want to play in. Second one is fearless and resolute. So to become fearless is we get to look at fear and change the perception of fear and the relationship with fear and also see it very differently. And then move into the place of resolute. Resolute is, I'm doing this anyway. I love myself so much, or I'm committed to my mission, or I'm committed to creating what I want to create. Yes. I'm doing it anyway. And so that's a different state of consciousness, right? You're not distracting or allowing things to distract you. You're not procrastinating. You're not avoiding. You're taking action every single day. Yes. Because it feels so good and it feels so powerful. And you can see your vision unfolding. And of course, we move into the space of limitless potential and infinite possibility. And again, unfolding and opening up and creating more and more and more and more and more. Beautiful. So these are very powerful, powerful calls to play in and practice and being and embody.
And they're going to be live. They're going to be group processes, activations. You're going to get your questions answered, and they're going to be based on the energies of where we are on that date. And if you've been watching the world, there's no doubt there is more talk about scarcity that I am now hearing than I've ever, probably heard of this back in '08, but there's more talk about food scarcity, money scarcity, all sorts of scarcity. The Matrix is pushing hard to hold back, I believe, the ascension through fear and fear about resources. So this set of calls, based on where we are in November, could be a lifeline, could be priceless for a lot of people. What do you say about that? I've always felt like we do create our own abundance. We do operate within certain bigger energy fields, but that's when we have to actually go even bigger than those energy fields to our ultimate source and move out of those morphogenetic fields, even if they are planetary fields, and go into the galactic fields. So what would you say about that and some of the things that we may be hearing? I mean, just today, the stock market dropped a huge number for those that are invested there. And people are like, oh my gosh, look at what's happening. What would you say for people today?
So this is perfect, because what we've been talking about is to be in the world but not be affected by the world. So you start to carve your own path. And these are really, really important for that, because you begin to let go, you begin to see, you begin to observe, you go into the self-mastery of how you play in the world and how you contribute to the world and the impact that you create in the world and how the world impacts you. So you move into the space of infinite possibility and hold that consciousness of infinite possibility. So when you're there, it doesn't really matter what's happening in the world, because you're operating in a different field of possibility. You're operating in a different morphic field. And when you're in a different field, you're creating your own reality.
Yeah.
So, I have many examples of that. Like, for instance, like people winning in a game of chance that they never really thought they would win, and doing it over and over and over and over again.
Wow.
So again, you create your own reality, and this is really the time to see the world but not be affected by the world. Now, this is also important because we're not saying just forget about everybody else and just do you. What we're saying is that when you stand as source and you embody source and you embody infinite possibility and you embody hope and you embody unshakable confidence and you embody true prosperity, you are a powerful beacon of light.
Yes.
That lights the way for others to choose to find it, to follow. And that is really important. So it starts with you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So choose it, be it, and know that it is available to you.
Yeah, it's so important, especially today when, there's so many people leading others down the Pied Piper path of like, there's only, this choice or that choice, this duality of choices that's like, it's either this or this, up or down, left or right, this or that. And ultimately, that's not true, right? There's infinite choices. And for a lot of people that may want to go deeper into that, it is $197. It's a 93% off discount. You can do 2 payments at $99. But if you go with C, you're going to not only get 25 minutes with Maria, you're going to get everything on the page. Plus, you're going to get 15-minute follow-up for the first 50. And we've got a bonus just for you, free to be authentically, courageously, and powerfully 100% you. And Maria, I know we've gone a little long on this call. This has been a beautiful shift. We've had another 15 comments coming in. Amazing. People saying, wow, brilliant packages. Thank you for the radical trust. Another person wrote in, thank you. I have no ceiling now, says Stephen. Another person wrote in, yes, yes, yes. Amazing. Profound healing, says our dear Heather. The whole process was so amazing, filled with beautiful energy. I have been feeling a gentle, calming, peaceful, loving energy as Maria worked with others. During the process, I felt lots of tingling in my hands, arms. I actually visualized a beautiful array of color. Just moments before Maria described a colorful energy. I feel like something is happening now in my third eye. Bit of pressure and expansion. So grateful to participate today. So amazing. Oh,
beautiful.
Gosh. Yeah, lots of comments. I can't even read them all. Who is this for, Maria? Who may benefit from this?
Beautiful. Yes. So as you were talking, I was just seeing this beautiful expansion. So this is filled with quantum leaps, and that's why I was seeing the expansion moving forward. So I saw all of you that are ready for something new, whether you've been struggling with money, whether you have a business or entrepreneur, you've been struggling with money, or whether you have a job and just money doesn't seem to be enough. Whether you have some trauma from the past and you need to work through that trauma to be able to create more. If you're not embodying your worthiness and deservingness, or if you feel like I'm living my life, but I still feel like there's so much more of myself to access, so much more potential for me to express, this is for you. This is a very powerful program that is perfect for this time because it unfolds, it amplifies, it expands, it breaks through. It's a disruptor. It's really a disruptor for everything that's happening.
We need a disruptor because, I want to make this point is that I call it the manufactured scarcity system, the MSS, right? Some people call it MSN, the mainstream news, right? You ever heard that? MSN, mainstream news? Yes. I call it, this manufactured scarcity system, but it is always trying to push us into these very limited choices, right? It's either this or this, you like this or like this, and these are false dichotomies set up to actually corral consciousness. We have unlimited choices, unlimited possibilities, unlimited awareness. So when you hear all these stories about all this stuff, limited this, limited that, if you only look through their MSS system, there's they want you to only look at this or this because they can limit your consciousness. Well, we don't play that game, right? We are infinite beings. So if you are seeing this limitation and feeling like you're up against a wall, that's a great sign of awakening that, hey, I got to unplug from the MSS, the manufactured scarcity system, and plug into my IAS, my infinite abundance system. I'm just throwing this out there. And become free. It's totally possible and totally must be done.
Yes. For me, what it feels like when I'm ready for an upgrade, I start feeling uncomfortable. I start feeling like I'm running a lot of energy, but it's not going anywhere. And I even start feeling sort of the wall, like I hit the ceiling. It's time to break through the ceiling. I'm ready for new. So if any of you feel this way, like I feel like I'm ready for something new. I feel like the wall is right there, or the ceiling is right there. I just need to break through that. This is a program for you, and I invite you to participate. I invite you to take that journey.
Yeah, the other thing I like to say too, if you don't know where to begin or you're just not sure, all you got to do is just get your session with Maria. Start there because she's going to be looking at your energy field and helping you to break free no matter what's going on. Yeah, I mean, so you just sit back. She's going to first identify those areas that are going to give you the maximum movement forward. And then doing the program is going to be easy. And this is what she does. She's amazing. Maria, I want to thank you. I know that time seemed like it just flew by here, and I don't really want it to end because I love your voice too. I love your energy. I'm going to let you just have a little time to just love everybody and share anything else that maybe Source wants us to know, or the source codes, what they are that are going to help people today, or anything else to just send off people with love.
Thank you for being here. And this is a call, like this is Source calling you forward, placing an opportunity in front of you for you to choose. And you can choose what's in your highest good. You can feel into it. But, you're here because there's something else for you that is waiting for you. The next level of you, the next quantum leap for you, the next expansion, the next upgrade. And I invite you to take a look at what that is and give to yourself. Choose you. Commit to living your greatest life. When I look at what's coming in for you, it's almost like this beautiful rain of different colors. And these are the blessings from Source. Source is everywhere and always with you. And that's the big reminder, right? Sometimes we forget, we feel lonely, or we feel like, we're not connected. But in reality, we're always connected. But it's when we're not listening, it's when we're not coming within, that we feel that we're lost, or that we feel that we're disconnected. And the message for you today is that everything is in your hands. Everything is available to you. And it is up to you to make that choice, to make the choice of the next level of prosperity, the next level of wealth, the next level of health. It's up to you. It's available. And it just takes you making that choice. So that's the message from Source. Also, what's also coming in, it's a beautiful blessing. And it's a beautiful reminder, again, that, that we have the ability to create, and that we have the ability to create from the space of knowing. And when we get disconnected or we move away from that, then we move into the mass consciousness or the collective, and now we're not creating. Somebody else is creating for us.
Yes.
So what's coming in is for you to remember that you are a sovereign being, that you are divine power, that you are your authority, and that you get to create for you. And the gift that is being given to you is the gift of love. So I see lots of beautiful flowers that are coming in, lots of beautiful frequencies. It's just very gentle, this beautiful energy that is coming in. First of all, it's in gratitude of all of you being here. Secondly, it's for you to remember your truth and who you are. And third, it's for you to know that you have the power within you to make the choices to move you forward, to create a new reality that works for you, a new reality that supports your mission, your purpose, and brings you joy and brings you happiness. Go ahead and take a deep breath and just receive that. Receive that beautiful blessing of I am, the beautiful blessing of being loved and supported by Source. Also the knowing that Source is in divine partnership with you, that you're creating every single day based on the choices and the decisions that you make. And for you to know that you can create a life that is filled with abundance, filled with joy, and filled with prosperity. It's available to you. So I see this beautiful meadow now of trees, and then out in the distance, this beautiful flow of this beautiful water, like a river going down. So that what Source is showing me is the abundance that's available for you, the space that you can be and live in and create from. Infinite flow, infinite abundance. You are loved. You are truly loved. Source, God, the universe is with you, in divine partnership with you, co-creating with you. And just a reminder to love yourself and to accept yourself as you are and to forgive yourself. Thank you, everyone.